Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Field Goals and Forecasts. I'm, of course, your host, Mr. Ryan Adio, and I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Mr. James Derrick. We got a nice Halloween spooky episode for you guys today. In honor of Halloween in a few days, we're going to be talking about a few spooky things. We got a lot of store for you. So, obviously, we've got some news to touch on. We're obviously going to talk about our games, do the games of the week, fantasy, everything we normally do. But we've also got a secret special segment for you guys, so stay tuned for that, all right? Let's start with some news around the league. Obviously, Tight Ends Day. Tight ends show up, show out. This is the 6th annual celebration of Tight Ends Day, and this is the best Tight Ends Day in league history. I mean, 16 touchdowns, 177 receptions, not including the Monday night game because there weren't any updated stats on that, but there weren't any tight ends in that game, apparently. But the most catches by a tight end on any day in league history. League history.
That's insane. See, I think it comes to a point where teams know it's going to be National Tight Ends Day, and they start scheming the tight end. I mean, it was a little bit of that,
They must have.
and a little bit of some special circumstances on a couple teams. We like Cade Otton had a huge day. That's solely based on the fact that they don't have Mike Williams, they don't have Chris Godwin, but there's a lot of tight ends that had really good days and some touchdowns too. If you want to touch on that,
well, let's do it. Let's run through all the names. Obviously, Kyle Pitts. He had 2. Cade Otton, he had 2. David Njoku, Dalton Kincaid, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, and Brock Wright, both for the Lions. Broncos' Nate Atkins and Adam Troutman. How about that? Yeah. And Tyler Conklin, Mark Andrews is coming back. Tucker Kraft is on a tear right now. Mm-hmm. Evan Ingram, and of course, the guy who started it all, Mr. George Kittle.
Yes.
Congratulations to all the tight ends out there. Obviously, great tight ends day. Could have asked for a better one, honestly.
No, not at all. I think the tight ends are satisfied. I think Rob Gronkowski on Fox had a really nice day. He was talking about how it's tight end's birthday or something like that.
Sure.
I'll
take it.
I'm not sure if he really understands the whole premise of the day, but you know what? He was one of the best tight ends to do it. He was excited. They were showing a lot of him.
The best to do it, Mr. Rob Gronkowski. I mean,
yeah, that's still up in the air. We'll see after Travis Kelce's done
It's
here.
close, actually.
Yeah.
In other news, we have Anthony Richardson getting benched. If you want to talk about Halloween, that's scary. That is something that is quite scary. Obviously, Joe Flacco coming back for his job again. Anthony Richardson, 10 for 32. One of the worst completion percentages in NFL history. 175 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He was kind of bailed out by that huge Josh Downs play, and Jonathan Taylor had a huge performance. He's coming back off an injury. That's probably going to keep him in the game, and they got a tough opponent next week. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I honestly, it's the right move. Put Joe Flacco in, give Anthony Richardson some time to develop. I mean, we said this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Anthony Richardson when Joe Flacco first came in. It's like, give this guy a chance to learn from one of the best. I mean, talk about someone who's won a Super Bowl, so lots to absorb. Clearly not ready. I mean, he's had some great games, but this was just proof that he's not ready.
And he looked, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he looked really good his rookie season, actually, the first couple of games that he played before injury.
Did.
And I think they wanted, that to be how he came back this year. But he's going to need some time. He's coming off a huge injury. When you have, I'm sure we talked about this before, but when you have such limited experience as Anthony Richardson does, being out for that period of time, that's going to hurt you. So I think sitting him, letting him develop behind a first ballot Hall of Famer, and hopefully he gets back on track, because I'd hate to see a first-round pick like that go to waste.
Yeah, honestly, especially because we have seen it from him before, so you know what's there talent-wise, so you want to get that out of him. So now, it's up to the Colts to make the right moves, see what if they can get it out of him again. So I think both of us can agree that was probably the move there in terms of his development.
So. And in other news, another scary news line here from the same division. Stephon Diggs out with a season-ending ACL injury. He went down in the middle of that game, near the end, I would say, and he didn't come back. He couldn't get off. Did he go off? I think he got carried off.
I didn't catch that part.
But yeah, it did not look good. It was a non-contact injury, so obviously that throws up some red flags there. So not good to see. Texans are out without receivers now.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of towards the tail end of that game, we saw John Mechie the third. He had 3 receptions for 29 yards or something like that. So maybe somewhere where he's gonna step up into that Stephon Diggs role. You know a little bit more about John Mechie than I do.
Yeah.
What's the whole story there?
So John Mechie was a 2022 second-round pick out of Alabama. Coming out of the draft, like his rookie season, he was diagnosed with leukemia, if I'm correct about that. And obviously, he sat out the entire season, I want to say. Comes back basically his rookie season in 2023. Not the performance you're looking for. He was kind of overshadowed by a lot of other guys.
Not a chance to really get in there.
And even this year, he's just been buried in the depth chart. So hopefully he gets his time to shine. He was great in college, one of the best receivers Bama had, if not the best receiver. And I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him come back.
Yeah, maybe this is just like God works in mysterious ways kind of thing. Giving him his chance after all. So I look forward. I really hope he has a great game next week against the Jets. Tough matchup, but more on that later.
Right.
But yeah, hopefully a good game for John Mechie.
That's what you can hope. And now, next up, as per usual, we're going to be talking about the games that happened this week, but in honor of Halloween, these are the games of horror this week.
Dun, dun, dun.
These games were like horror movies to watch, and it probably scared some people, especially the fans of those losing teams. Obviously, we get to talk about the Bills Seahawks. It wasn't a horror movie for us to watch, but if you were a Seahawks fan, or you even went to the game as a Seahawks fan, just horrible. Actual horror to watch.
If you went, if you bought tickets to that game, I'm really sorry.
Yep.
If you're a Seattle fan,
right?
Even if you live 5 minutes from the stadium, I don't know what it's all like over there in Seattle. That was a waste of time and money.
Yeah,
I've never seen a team so out of sync. Such a lack of chemistry. I mean, obviously there was a couple big plays that were boneheaded plays that Seattle defense made up. There was the roughing the passer after the illegal shift penalty the flag was thrown there.
One of those offensive
but
false start, something like that.
That was the thing that stood out to me is Seattle does have a chance to stop Buffalo, get back in this game. It was 3rd and 6. Flag right as the play starts gets thrown up. It's a penalty on Buffalo, so Josh Allen just rolls right and chucks it out of bounds, and then I honestly forgot who comes over and just
Boye Mafe, I want to say.
Maybe sounds familiar. Like plows him straight into the ground, and that's roughing the passer. That's going to negate
every single time
the other penalty, and one of his teammates comes over and it's just like, man, I hope you feel really good about that because you just screwed us. So,
and they even started fist fighting on the sideline.
And it kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, just terrible team performance. And of course, the Seattle was forced to play a away game at home. The Bills fans stormed into that stadium and took it over.
And they're the 12th man over in Seattle, so it's not an easy place to do that.
And they traveled across the country to make Seattle have an away game. That's incredible to me. I love to see things like that.
Yeah.
And Geno Smith even talked about it and was like, we were playing an away game. It was tough for us.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the other things you got to talk about, Kenneth Walker was completely limited.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what, he had 12 yards?
It seems, watching that game, like the Bills just really game planned for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
They knew how much of a threat he is, and he made some good plays in the pass game. He had a couple where he was able to rumble for some extra yards where you really didn't see it coming, and obviously extremely talented, but the Bills game planned extremely well.
Right.
Anything going up the middle, They were right there for maybe 1-2 yards, even negative yards in the backfield, and anything going to the edge, pitch plays, stretch plays, they were meeting him in the backfield. I mean, Rasul Douglas came through and made some great solo tackles on Kenneth Walker on a pitch play. But overall, the defense looked like it was flying over there in Seattle. So
and Austin Johnson, practice squad and interception. I mean, that's bad. And you see Geno Smith come out on the first drive. He gets 3 deflected passes. Greg Rousseau was going crazy on that first drive. The offense not able to do anything. They had one rushing yard in the first half. That's bad. Against the 30th worst team against the rush in the league.
Yeah, there's just not a lot going for Seattle right now. The record, they're still there record-wise where they can improve and maybe make a wild card, but the blocking for the run game is what's going wrong. Obviously, you don't have a lack of talent with someone like Kenneth Walker, but there needs to be something done to fix this O-line blocking for the run. They can't do it.
No. And we definitely won in the trenches, which you love to see because our pass rush hasn't really been great recently.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully they're coming around. We get Von Miller back soon. Hopefully things shake out, and this is a good first step. And, of course, the offense was on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Josh threw his first interception, which I called. If you watched last episode, I did call that one.
Yeah,
but kind of just a bad throw. Unlucky, almost.
I think on the broadcast they said Amari Cooper may have slipped on his route a little bit,
right.
But again, it wasn't the greatest throw, and Seattle took advantage. They have a great set of DBs there.
Yeah, but we were able to stop them. I mean, they didn't get. I think they got 3 points or 0 points out of that.
That
one.
I believe was the snap over the head.
Yeah.
Or if it wasn't the snap over the head, it was when Geno Smith slipped and fell on 4th and goal. So.
They couldn't even take advantage of that. But James Cook, I think, is the superstar in this game. 17 carries, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. And this is Cook's first career game with 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns.
I actually can't believe that. But when you think back, most of the games where he's dominated, like earlier this season against Miami, he dominated so much so that he didn't even play the rest of the game, right? So this is finally a game where he's able to dominate, and he played late into the game as well, and he really got the ball rolling for the rest of our offense. It almost felt like we were running like some kind of Baltimore offense where if we can get Seattle to load it up in there to stop James Cook because he was running wherever he wants, then those quick passes outside to Khalil Shakir, they were open, lots of those screen plays, and he was taking advantage too. He had a great game, Khalil Shakir did.
Shakir had 9 receptions, 107 yards. And I thought, when I was looking at the stats, I would have thought Keon Coleman had a better game. I mean, he had a great game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he got us started, but...
Right. 5 receptions, 70 yards, and, of course, that one-handed touchdown, which was beautiful. And Allen off to another great, MVP caliber year, as usual. 24 for 34, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns. And here's a stat for you. Before Josh threw his interception, Josh Allen set the franchise record for most consecutive pass attempts without an interception, with 231. Old record was 222 by the Tyrod Taylor. And he became the 5th quarterback in NFL history with at least 200 pass attempts and no interceptions in his team's first 8 games of the season.
Wow. I mean,
he was on a tear.
It was nice to, actually, believe it or not, it was nice to have Tom Brady on a Bills game for once. I think
agree.
Actually when the Bills were playing well and you have Tom Brady singing Josh Allen's praises, I love to hear that. It was good to hear, and he has some really nice input in terms of, Sean McDermott's defense. They were changing up a lot and keeping Seattle on their toes. So it was a great win from Buffalo. What else do you have to say on this?
I got really nothing else, but Josh Allen is 22-6 now against the NFC. So
hey, I think he should win MVP, but it's going to come down to...
It's going to be close.
It's going to come down to record. We got to win a lot more games to keep up with the Chiefs.
And you got to win the games. This is our first win against a above 500 opponent this year. So
yeah,
You got to win more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Next game I want to talk about, and this, if you are a Bears fan, just skip ahead. Skip ahead because
Keep it going.
this is a horror movie for you to watch, and I do feel bad. I mean, you talk about horror, you know Bloody Mary, but what about Hail Mary to win the game? I mean, Jaden Daniels getting that time in the pocket, and Noah Brown just wide open. It tipped the ball straight to him.
He had the right thought in mind because, I mean, for a lot of those Hail Marys, the ball does get tipped up in the air, and
Yeah.
he thought to himself, if I'm the only one back here and this ball just somehow makes its way to me, this is a touchdown. So, good heads-up play from him. And what about Tyreek Stevenson?
If I'm a Bears fan, that name is absolutely scaring me right now. I'll tell you what. And they have the video of him,
It's
taunting
so incriminating.
and not getting to his
Oh,
spot.
my God.
And Eberflus came out and said he was supposed to be the one covering Noah Brown. Yes, so he tips it to him, loses them the game. He's taunting. That is bad. That is a bad, bad, bad look if you're a Bears fan. And I don't know what else to say. And
Well, it's really bad because the Bears have a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams that
Right.
they obviously want to build the future around, and this is the time where you establish a team culture, and this is an example, Tyreek Stevenson, of something that just cannot happen.
No.
So, in my opinion, there needs to be severe consequences if you want to
he's going to
establish.
be watching that over and over and
Yes.
over on film. 100%.
If you want to establish a culture of a team that just can't make those mental errors, you've never won a game in the NFL till the clock hits 0, there needs to be severe punishment for that.
Yeah.
There needs to be some sense of, oh crap, you can't mess around
Yeah.
like this. This is a
You're an NFL player.
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you play in the NFL. I mean, taunting like that, it's just embarrassing, honestly. But what can you do? It's over.
Oh.
And, next time,
I'm
they
sure-
will be covering that guy.
I'm
I'll
sure
tell you
he
what.
regrets it as well. So it's you don't want to bash him too much. You never see that happen, a Hail Mary like that. But again, it's his fault.
Yeah, and it does happen, and you got to prepare for it. Other than that, Caleb Williams, not a good performance from him, and the play calling was terrible. I mean, they gave it to their backup offensive lineman at the goal line. He fumbles, gets recovered by the other team. That's going to cost you a score. I mean, the Bears had ample opportunity to put this game away, and they couldn't. And the Commanders played great, but they only scored 18 points. I mean, I can't overlook that. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, if we're talking Halloween here, finished with 5 receptions, 125 yards, the highest mark of his season. And Daniels surpassed 300 yards for the first time in his career. And they recorded 481 net yards, the highest total of the season, and they had a win on a Hail Mary. How does that happen? They just could not score.
It was a game that the Bears, even though they didn't play great, really executed, forcing them to take field goals. The red zone defense was obviously really good from the Bears, and I think that's kind of been something that has been there every game. That's why the Bears defense has been so good, but they didn't play the full game the hardest they could, and that's what it comes down to.
They got to the red zone, and honestly, good for the Bears here, but they got to the red zone, were not able to score. Had to come down to that last-minute play, and not good. Not good. But the Commanders have the best record in the NFC and the NFC East. Obviously, the Eagles look great. We'll get into that later, but for now, they're sitting pretty comfortably at the top, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
Speaking of a team that was previously at the top, Vikings-Rams. Vikings lose 2 straight to the Rams. Rams get their receivers back. Puka Nacua was huge in this game. Cooper Kupp, but 30-20, not the way you want to lose it, especially to a team that is 3 wins now. So
Yeah. I mean, the Rams have had their struggles. That a lot of it has to do with injuries, but this is a team where, and now you've seen some buzz on social media where maybe this team can make some kind of wild card push if they just get things going at the right time. They're the really talented roster, great offense that's managed to survive and still put up points without their top two receivers. So, a lot to be excited about for the Rams, but you're kind of still, you can see the Vikings are still in shock from that first loss, and now they're reeling a little bit. So it's up to them to stop it next week. But you don't want to start 6-0 and then lose your next two.
Yeah, I mean, you love to start 6-0, but when you go against better teams, I would say the Lions, and then this is probably their worst loss against the Rams. I mean, Lions look like the best team in football. Rams, they had high hopes at the beginning of the season, but they did fall off a little bit. One of the worst defenses in the league, despite their boom or bust offense. But this is a bad look. I don't know how to feel about the Vikings anymore. I mean, are they going downhill? Could this be the start of the decline here? I mean,
it's too hard to tell. I mean, we're still in the middle of the season here, and they have a lot to go in terms of the rest of these games. They have a lot more practice. They have a lot more everything in terms of game planning, fixing things that are wrong. But as I said, they're reeling right now, and you need to find a way to stop it, right? There's still, some of these losses come pretty shocking. There was the missed face mask call.
Yeah, that's a big thing too.
But you need to halt this as soon as you can, because now you don't want to drop 3 next week. So because now you're sitting middle of the pack, and if you lose some games, maybe you even miss the playoffs if you don't play things out well. So
and you have the toughest division in football right now: Bears, Lions, Vikings, Packers. If you lose a couple of games bad like that, you're out of playoff contention. I mean, that's not something you can do. And obviously, Justin Jefferson had a great game. Don't get me wrong, but
as per usual,
no touchdown. I mean, you're just missing him in times where you need him. And Aaron Jones runs the ball great. Sam Darnold is pretty much perfect through the air. 18 for 25, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. Defense where they struggled, and I can't believe that. They were the best defense in the league for so long, and now they're not playing up to standard. And Stafford was throwing all over him. When he was targeting Kupp and Nakua, he went 12 for 17, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, and 119 passer rating. That's insane.
That's really good.
I think there was a stat where he was perfect on the right side of the field. Something like that. That's crazy. How do you let an entire side of the field be open? Demarcus Robinson had 2 touchdowns. Kupp and Kyren had the other 2. Kyren Williams, obviously, so good as usual. 23 carries, 97 yards, 5 receptions, 19 yards for a touchdown. And he keeps his streak alive of a touchdown in every game, all 7 games this season.
He's been an absolute workhorse for them, where I don't know if there's ever any not sure when to call what play, but if you're ever in doubt, you can just hand the ball off to Kyren Williams. And that helps out a team so much when you have somebody where it's like, when in doubt, go here. And they kind of have 2 or arguably 3 of those guys on this Rams offense, where when you're in doubt, draw up a play for Kyren or draw up a short pass to Puka Nakua or Cooper Kupp. They have a lot of reliable guys on this offense that you can look to on third downs. So this offense is going to be something that a lot of defenses struggle with as we go on this year. And they're only 3-4. They took a couple of rough losses, but this Rams team, they're dangerous.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, even last year, didn't they win a playoff game? Or did they got bounced in the first round, or they either won one? I don't know. It's hard. I can't look now.
They played the Lions, correct? And I think they lost.
Yes. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
But that was a
game.
They
played Dallas or something, but you're right.
No, they made that a good game, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. But, again, this is a playoff team looking to bounce back after some injuries, and hopefully they can get it back on track. But if not, we could see them fall off. And I mean, the Cardinals are
Mm-hmm.
kind of running this division too.
Yeah.
So nothing you want to happen there. That whole division is, I think they're all 4-loss teams.
Cardinals are 4-4.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very close.
Yeah.
I mean, they could easily take the division if they wanted to.
And did they beat the Cardinals, right?
No, they lost.
They
to
lost to the Cardinals.
They did.
They crushed them, didn't they? Or was it actually a close game? I'm trying to remember. I can't remember here.
That might have been the game that the Cardinals just went haywire on them. You know what? I might have to look back, but while you're looking back, I want to continue talking about that because obviously the Rams had their bye week, so they're 3-4, but the Niners are 4-4, the Seahawks are 4-4, and of course the Cardinals are 4-4. That's anybody's division to take.
Yeah, it was back in week 2. The Cardinals won 41-10. I believe that was the game that Marvin Harrison Jr. started the game with like 3 catches for over 100 yards.
There it is.
So.
All right. I mean, if you want to talk about another blowout, and these are just scary, scary teams for the losing teams. Obviously, if you're the winning team, this is like a comedy movie almost. But Titans Lions, wow, 52-14 Lions. The Lions scored 42 points before Jared Goff even threw 30 yards. Why don't you talk more about this?
Yeah, actually, we're not going to stick to this game for too long because obviously it's a final score 52-14. We don't have to. But here's a key stat that you actually dug up for me, so thank you, Ryan. But
of course,
Detroit started first half scoring drives at the Tennessee 23-yard line after a pick, the Tennessee 25-yard line after a big kickoff return, and the Tennessee 12-yard line after an interception, as well as the Tennessee 22-yard line after a 64-yard punt return. Detroit only had one drive that started in their own territory, and it was capped off by a 70-yard run from Jahmyr Gibbs. So
yeah, domination.
They didn't have to really work for anything in this game. They completely and utterly dominated the Tennessee Titans, which actually I'm pretty sure everyone thought was going to happen.
Yeah. I didn't think to this extent, but yeah, this is bad. Titans defense did not step up. Speaking of a poor defensive matchup, Eagles-Bengals. It was their white Bengal game. It's supposed to be like a whiteout.
I like the whiteout.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It was
I
nice.
honestly do. But
I really like the jerseys, but it was a poor game to have it.
The whiteout didn't like that.
No.
I don't know.
They both looked terrible. This is a very defining win for the Eagles. They do look scary. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts is beginning to step back up. I like where they're going. They're on a good I don't like where the Jets are going. Patriots, 22-25. Patriots win. Aaron Rodgers cannot get it done again. Again. Like, what? How does that happen?
I've said it before on this show. Aaron Rodgers just needs one more Packers buddy. He just needs one more friend,
Bring back Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, one more buddy. If you give him one more, then everything will be fine, and the Jets will win the Super Bowl, actually. So
go out and get Eddie Lacy. Bring him back. Come on.
I'm not even trying to shoot any strays at Eddie Lacy, but I can't imagine what he's up to right now. He was never...
He's trying to beach in Tahiti. He doesn't care, yeah. But the Jets, this is a crazy stat. This is a horror level of stats. The Jets scored 20-plus points, didn't commit a single turnover, and held their opponent to under 250 total yards. Before Sunday, the teams in the NFL, were 750-0 all time when generating that box score. And the Jets are the first team to lose. It's now 750-1.
Say that stat one more time because that's ridiculous. What's the likelihood they lose this game then? Hold on.
Very, very, very low. The Jets scored 20-plus points. I'll say it again. Didn't commit a single turnover, so no interceptions, no fumbles, and they held their opponent to under 250 total yards. And they were the first team to lose with all that happening.
Wow.
Ever.
So I don't know. Is this the Jets' fault? Like,
I don't know. I mean, you can probably blame this on
Yes,
coaching.
yes,
I mean,
you-
they fired Saleh, but
yeah.
Drake May goes out with a concussion. Jacoby Brissett comes in. He doesn't look that good. And
Never does.
they they capped it off with a touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson, I believe, and basically gave the Jets 20 seconds. Couldn't get anything done. The receivers weren't catching the ball. The Jets' offense looked better, if not the exact same, with Zach Wilson. I mean, that's not something you want to say, and the whole offense just looks bad. You thought maybe by adding Devontae Adams, you already have Garrett Wilson, you have Allen Lazard. This is going to be a high-powered offense. They had such high hopes at the beginning of the season, and they're at the bottom of the division.
Yeah.
What else can he say?
The Patriots are one of those teams, though, that's more than anybody geared up to win just horrifying, ugly games. And that's exactly what they did here. They managed to break a 750-game streak. And it shows. Pull up the box score right now as you hear us talking about this and tell me anything that New England did that actually looks remarkable.
Yeah,
nothing.
There's nothing.
There is nothing.
Good for New England on the win, but not really a... I don't know if it's a defining one. I don't know if it's the Jets' fault, if the Patriots just look good. I have no idea what's going on there and the rest of the AFC East. But how about another backup coming in and getting a very, very surprising win? Ravens, Browns, 24-29. Browns victory. They're at the bottom of the division, but they just beat one of the, giants in the AFC right now. Why don't you talk more about that?
All I've got to say is unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependent on the Lord. I'll say it again. Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependence on the Lord. Jameis Winston said that twice before taking the field against the Ravens, and
it worked.
Absolutely backed it up. I'm so happy for him. What he threw, he completed 27 of 41 passes, threw for 334 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Remarkable. I was so happy to see that. I'm happy for Jameis Winston. I can't tell if he's trolling the media a little bit or not, but you hear a lot of guys that are very, have a lot of faith in their interviews. It's almost like Jameis Winston is a pastor and he's preaching. Like he's taking it to a total extreme. It's working for him. I hope he wins more games, but overall, if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, it's going to be a long season still.
Yeah.
But I think I can get extremely hype about this one.
But you scored 20-plus points for the first time in this season.
Yeah.
So, you get out of that graphic that we've seen where it's everyone else who scored 20-plus points and teams that haven't, and now everybody scored 20 points. So all they needed was to start their backup quarterback, which is not something you usually say, but hey, I mean, this is kind of...
You can get a spark from a backup quarterback, especially when it's someone who can throw for
300-plus yards.
300-plus yards like Jameis can, and it came down to that last drive where they won the game. And Baltimore had their chances to seal this one. Kyle Hamilton dropped what should have been a game-winning interception. I mean, and from where that pick happened, he could have taken that to the house and really sealed the game. I don't know if he would have made it necessarily, but the Ravens' defense, that is going to continue to be a question. So,
and the receivers as well, just unable to be consistent. A lot of dropped passes. They were saying the sun was in their eyes or something like that. I don't know. But those are two things that continue to be a question. But I think as long as they have Lamar Jackson, they're going to be in pretty good standings at least. But this is a defining win. I mean, this shows that one of the super giants of the AFC can go down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if other teams are going to start taking notes on what the Browns did or not, or if this was some kind of crazy fluke experience that they won this game, but good for the Browns. Jameis Winston said it was a fan base win. I agree with that. The fans who bought tickets to that game are very happy that they bought tickets to that game.
100%.
They finally saw their team score points. Even though in the first half they only scored 6, they didn't score a single touchdown, but they got back in there, and I'm happy for them overall. I think the Browns needed that for sure.
And obviously, if Jameis keeps this up, there's going to be a QB controversy, but that's for later. Let's jump into our next segment here, our fantasy segment. Obviously, we're doing our starts and sits for this Halloween weekend. It is Halloween weekend, so anything can happen. Don't blame us. We're about 50% on starts and sits, so one of every 2 players. I'm 7 for 15, 7.5 starts, sits. And James, you're 8.5 for 15 on starts.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that.
7 for 15 on sits, which it's impressive. I mean, I'm only 7, so you take what you can get, I guess. I've had a lot of people get hurt. I'm telling people to start, and then they get hurt.
I don't even know. Like, it's hard to count those. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of injuries this year in general. With any of our picks, please, make sure your guy isn't going to be hurt before or during the week. It's obviously during the week. Nothing you can account for.
Nothing.
But
yeah.
who do you have to start at? I guess we'll start at quarterback.
Yeah, let us start with quarterback. And how about Jalen Hurts against the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of the worst defenses in the league for sure, and he's been balling out the past 2 games.
Yeah.
So, and those tush-push touchdowns, it's going to get you some points. It got you a ton of points this week if you started him. Hopefully he continues his streak. Hopefully the Jags don't somehow surprise us and upset them. But I like Jalen Hurts this week a lot. And if you have him, start him. I mean, that's pretty basic.
Goes without saying.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
How about you for QB?
I like to keep it on the fringe. These are people that you really should be asking about. And if you have Bo Nix on your bench, maybe you just give him a shot. I mean, we saw Jameis Winston absolutely light up Baltimore. There's no reason to believe that Denver can't stay in this game for at least a little bit. And even if they aren't in this game, they will be down and passing the ball. Bo Nix has had tremendous upside running the ball and scoring rushing touchdowns. And he's been throwing for a lot of touchdowns as well. He's actually had some great development over in Denver. And you're seeing now he's relevant in fantasy. He's QB9 right now.
He's coming off a great game.
Definitely not something you expected. In my league, he had 30 points, depending on your league settings, somewhere around there. So, great week for Bo Nix. Who are you sitting at quarterback?
This one's going to be a little bit risky, but I want to say sit Kyler Murray against the Bears. Bears have a great defense. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Cardinals. They don't seem to play very well against good teams. I mean, we saw it this week. Even the Commanders couldn't have put up a lot of points. And if you're not throwing a Hail Mary last minute, then you're really not going to get a lot of points out of your QB. Don't let Jaden Daniels' performance fool you. Kyler Murray is... This is kind of crazy take, but Kyler Murray is not Jaden Daniels, obviously.
No.
They're still the best in the league against the QB, the Bears.
I'm not even sure if that's very risky. The Bears have been really good, and Kyler Murray still has to prove this team. They're 4-4, right?
Yeah.
So something's gonna take over there.
If this is a defining win, so be it. I'm happy for him. So
yeah. For me, quarterback, I'm gonna sit C.J. Stroud. So this week is very real. You might have both C.J. Stroud and Bo Nix on your roster, and you don't know who to start. These are both guys that you could have on the same team. So sit C.J. Stroud. He's playing the Jets. The Jets have just been really good against fantasy quarterbacks. They're 6th best in the league, so top 10 there. And C.J. Stroud has a very roughed up receiving core.
Yeah.
As we said, we were singing his praises. John Mechie's going to come in at slot, we're thinking, for Stephon Diggs, who's going to be out for the season. But all they've got is Tank Dell to really spread it out. I'm not sure who's their other guy there that they have.
Xavier Hutchinson.
Xavier Hutchinson. He had a couple catches against the Bills, but
not a great receiving core. And he just hasn't been that good this season in general. I mean, he's only had one game where he's been over 20 points, and he's kind of a friend. He's 12th in ranking still. I
haven't even checked that, but I was talking with my roommate the other day, and he said C.J. Stroud isn't really fantasy viable unless
No.
he has 250 or more yards and like 3 passing touchdowns.
Yeah,
So
because he doesn't run the ball.
he definitely doesn't run at all. And, against the Jets, who are really good defensively, you can't really find that from C.J. Stroud in this game, especially with how injured his receiving core is.
Yeah, I love it. I can't stand C.J. Stroud in fantasy this year, so I love it. How about wide receiver for you? Who you got at starting wide receiver?
Okay, so starting for wide receiver, I was very encouraged this past week from what I saw out of DeAndre Hopkins, even in his kind of limited involvement in the passing offense. He was out on the field for a good amount of the snaps, but still really only knows, I think they said it was like 15 plays.
Something like that.
For
I
the
mean,
Chiefs?
which is to be expected.
Yeah, with as complicated of an offense as you can imagine the Chiefs have, I think DeAndre Hopkins will find a great spot. The 2 catches he had went for, I believe, 13 and 16 yards. So
Yeah,
he's going to be getting looks down the field. He's a very good veteran receiver who, playing the Bucks, have been the 28th worst
Really bad.
in allowing fantasy points to wide receivers. And D-Hop's only projected around 10, 11 points, depending on your league. Probably less if no PPR or half PPR. But you should start him over some other guys that might be on the fringe of flex play. And he has a lot of upside, especially this upcoming week.
I like it.
What about
And
you? Or sorry, if you have anything else to say.
I was just talking about DeAndre Hopkins. I know I've said in the past that he's washed, but listen, you put him with Patrick Mahomes, anything can happen, and the Bucks give up a lot of points to deep ball receivers. They're giving up everything over the top. I just watched my Falcons torch them with Darnell Mooney, so I think they can do it with D-Hop. But for me, I'm going with Jaden Reed. And listen, he's been pretty bad recently. He hasn't really got the touches you want him to have, but the Lions are a bottom 20 team against the pass, despite their very, very good defense. I watched Calvin Ridley ball out despite the loss against
10
this
for
team.
143
A
or
lot
something
of
like
yards.
that.
I mean, if he had a touchdown, that would have been an amazing stat line, amazing performance. But, especially if Jordan Love is out, Willis is going to look for that easy slot receiver kind of guy, just dump it off. I think he'll be the number 1 target, and I like the matchup that he has this week, especially against the Lions.
Yeah, that's somewhat of a riskier play right there, but in general, I do agree. There's going to be a lot of people who have Jaden Reed who are probably thinking to sit him.
Yeah.
But the Lions not very good against wide receivers in fantasy, and you're right. I think he's probably going to be looking Willis's for a lot of those dump downs, some quick plays, and he's great after the catch. So
yeah, and it's going to be a tough game. The Lions obviously are a really quick striking team, so if they go down early, they're going to have to pass the ball. So look for Jaden Reed, I suppose. How about you?
So what are we doing? I'm sitting for wide receiver
Who you
right
sitting?
here. Okay, so again, you would never sit this guy, but think about the last time these two teams played, right? So I'm going to talk about Tyreek Hill. Don't sit him. Actually, if anything, a lot of
If you
good
have
news.
someone better, you could start him over.
Maybe, I mean, if you're in like an 8-man league,
Right.
sure. But I think you temper expectations for sure. I think he's going to be the equivalent of a low-end wide receiver too, or maybe flex play, or maybe even worse. They're playing the Bills this week, who have just completely and utterly dominated Miami on the coaching front more so aspect, where Miami's just struggled to attack Buffalo's defense. Buffalo's managed to disguise and play a multitude of different zones, and they keep Tua on his feet, and I don't think he can read the Buffalo defense as well as he can other ones, and Buffalo's been really good against the pass. So if it's another game where the Dolphins end up losing by 20 or more to the Bills, which I could see, definitely temper
They were on
expectations.
track to do that before Tua got hurt. So, yeah, I could see it easily happening. I think as long as Taylor Rapp is very involved in this game, Tyreek Hill's limited.
And they've done a great job against Hill. So no complaints as a Bills fan. They've done a great job against Hill. So honestly, most of the hope for me, because I have Tyreek Hill, I'm still going to start him. I'm in a 12-man league. My hope is maybe in garbage time he picks up a touchdown or something
Probably.
like that. But they've done a good job.
Like something that would happen for sure.
What about you for sitting a wide receiver?
Yeah, this week I know he's the wide receiver 1 now, but don't start Tank Dell. Please sit Tank Dell. Leave him on the bench for a little bit longer. He's playing the Jets, and he's going to get blanketed. I mean, I know he's going to be the wide receiver 1, but you line him up against that Jets defense, he's not going to succeed. I'm sorry. I think they're going to try to go for the run game, just dump it off quick, but they're not going to be looking for him over the top. Despite struggles, I mean, the Jets are still one of the best defenses in the league. Their offense just can't pick it up. I still wouldn't start Tank Dell. But we'll move on to running back.
Yeah.
Who do you want to start at running back this week?
So starting at running back, again, someone who's really flown under the radar. He's on a bad team. Has a good matchup this week is Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
He's projected somewhere around 14 fantasy points, and in my league, I see him on someone's bench, actually.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a trade target for you if you need to win a week, and I know you can get him at a pretty decent price with Jonathan Brooks coming back pretty soon, maybe. I'm really still not sure about when he's going to be coming back.
I have no idea.
He was supposed to be back by now, actually.
I think so.
But he's not.
Chuba has played really, really well. And he's just been, like you said, under the radar because he plays for the Panthers. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. And New Orleans, regardless of how good their defense overall has been against the pass and some other aspects, they actually are 24th against a run and in terms of limiting fantasy points to running back. So I like Chuba Hubbard this week.
Yeah, I like it.
What about you for running back?
I'm not going to say much about this because you know where I'm going, but Alvin Kamara against the Panthers. What more can I say about a running back against the Panthers?
Yeah.
They're terrible against the run. They will always be terrible against the run, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm going to say. So start Alvin Kamara if he's on your bench. I know I said to sit him last week, so start him this week. And speaking of sitting this week, I'm going for a division opponent here. Sit Rachaad White or Bucky Irving. Sit either of them. They're playing the Chiefs, who are great against the run game.
Phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, I mean, one of the highlights of their team for sure. I know Bucky Irving he's actually played very well recently. And Rachaad White has got his touches, but if you have either of them, just sit him this week. You can put him in next week. The Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo, great defense. This can be a tough game for them on offense. And if Mike Evans comes back, is he? I don't know.
They actually, I think they plan to keep him out. They didn't want to put him on IR, but they have a bye a couple weeks away, so they want to keep him out through the bye.
Well, there you go. But Baker actually looked really good through the air, despite losing Godwin and Evans. So I would say they're going to try to do that again. Just those simple passes. I don't think the run is going to work. I would sit them.
I kind of disagree. I kind of do. I know against Pittsburgh in particular, they're another team that's good against the run in general. But a lot of teams are looking to get their running backs activated in the passing game against those particular teams. So if you're in a PPR league, there's a chance Bucky Irving, Rachaad White have six receptions for 30 yards, and that's depending on how deep your league is, that might be startable. But I don't see them scoring touchdowns this week. That Chiefs defense is, I think, number one against fantasy running backs. So definitely a really bad matchup. For me, I've got J.K. Dobbins against the Browns. I don't have much more to say than the Browns are a great matchup, and the Chargers offense doesn't always score touchdowns. Last week they relied on a 60-yard play from Ladd McConkey to get in the end zone. They're not going to get those chunk plays on a regular basis. So I don't see J.K. Dobbins scoring a touchdown, and therefore I don't really see him having a great week in fantasy.
No. He started out really, really good. He was, I think, one of the best running backs in fantasy, and he's kind of fallen off a little bit, which is a shame. I really like J.K. Dobbins, but not this week. I wouldn't start him either. It's a good pick, I think. Now, let's move on to our Halloween special segment. we have NFL-themed haunted houses.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm going to go through, and I'm going to give you an immersive experience like you're walking through an NFL-themed haunted house. We'll get into it.
I don't know any of these jump scares,
Yeah.
so I've kept my eyes away from
You
what
might even
you're
hear
gonna say.
James scream a little bit.
This will be genuinely horrifying for me.
Yeah. So let's start with our... Let me get closer to the mic here. Start with our Giants-themed haunted house.
Giants? Oh,
The New York Giants.
where are they?
You creep up the stairs, slowly, and you see Kenny Galladay's 4-year, $72 million contract.
No!
He's not even playing for them.
4 years, 72?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really bad.
That is not in the media enough.
No.
Why aren't people talking about that? That is a tremendous waste of
It's-
money.
They're just paying anybody up, but we'll get there.
Okay.
You turn the corner,
Okay.
and out pops Daniel Jones's 4-year, $160 million contract.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm sure you saw that one. But he's the 28th best QB this year.
Wow,
So
I saw it peeking around the corner. Daniel
Yeah.
Jones couldn't stay hidden
he's
for
not
long
hidden.
enough.
Yeah, no. But you continue on, of course, and the floorboards, they creak under you as you see Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown at home since New Year's Day 2023.
That one's kind of funny. I think
Yeah,
he
that's
kind of
crazy.
he popped out and started acting like a clown a little bit. I laughed more than I was scared.
I think even he saw the MetLife Stadium and jumped himself. I mean, there have been college teams that have thrown more touchdowns than him at home, but oh well, we move on. Uh-oh. You feel something behind you. You turn around and you see Saquon Barkley.
No!
He sets records against them. Well, Devin Singletary is the 41st ranked quarterback, and his rookie backup is outperforming him in almost every game. Every game.
Hey, one side note, Tyrone Taylor has been really good.
Yeah.
You know? If
You know
there's
what?
anything good to take away from that,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
There you go. Well, maybe that's not part of the haunted house, but it's like
I'm sorry.
It's like the cider on the side in between.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to get out of there. You run out of there, but you're chased by Xavier McKinney, and he's balling out on the Packers. He's got 6 interceptions.
No!
And you gave him away, and he's gone.
Sorry, I've been laughing at all of these, but it is scary. I mean,
It is.
He has been balling out, and they gave him away, and they've been stressing defense this
Yes.
year. They traded for Brian Burns, and he's someone who could have helped them out on the back end for sure. Holy crap.
Yeah, that secondary is not very good. They benched Deontay Banks. Did you see that? He got hurdled by Najee Harris, and they benched him.
Wow.
That's crazy. But anyway, let's continue with some division opponents here. If you're a Cowboys fan, turn away, because we're going to the Cowboys-themed haunted house.
Dun, dun.
You creep up the stairs to the entrance, and you see the highest-paid quarterback-receiver duo, but they're only 3-4 this year. You're paying them like $300 million between the two of them, like maybe more, and that's bad luck. I mean, you pay them before the season, and you're not getting anywhere with them.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to move on.
Yeah.
You got to move on.
The haunted house isn't over.
Yes,
you gotta
right.
keep going.
You turn the corner, and out pops your running game, the worst running game in the NFL, with only 519 yards this season.
Oh, no!
You're starting Delvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott. But you got to keep moving, past the offensive struggles. And as you're passing them, the floorboards, they creak under you. But you see a frustrated Micah Parsons who looks to leave in free agency.
Oh, no!
One of the best defenders in the league, not wanting to be a Cowboy anymore. So, all right, we passed the offensive and defensive struggles. But something's behind you. You turn around and you see the Commanders and the Eagles at the top of the division.
Oh, no.
Like, what, 3 games ahead now from the Commanders? That's bad. I mean, this was supposed to be your year.
To be fair, the Commanders came out of nowhere, but still,
And, of course, You got to get out of there now that you've seen all the struggles of your team, but you're chased by one more. It's Mike McCarthy.
Oh,
He's
no.
chasing you out of there.
I'm not going to lie. I don't even think I'd be that scared.
No.
I outrun Mike McCarthy on my morning jog.
That's a walking pace, I
Yeah.
would say. Yeah, but again,
I don't jog in the morning either, but that's besides the point.
you started, you got in the offensive struggles, you went to the defensive struggles, then you got to the division struggles and the coaching struggles. I mean, what else is there?
Oh,
I don't know.
horrifying. That was probably the scariest
That one gave me
haunted
chills,
house so
yeah.
far. My hairs are all standing, if you can see.
Let's head on to the 49ers themed haunted house. Their opponent this week, who actually just beat them, but they can't escape the haunted house. This is a bad one here.
Yes.
Despite being Super Bowl, they were in the Super Bowl
Yeah,
last
they're
year.
contenders.
But
I mean,
they are still contenders.
Yeah.
But you're looking forward to this one, so you creep up the stairs, but you see Kyle Shanahan, and he's blowing another double-digit lead.
Oh no!
He's blown 18 double-digit leads in his career, including 3 Super Bowls.
Oh my gosh, that's scary.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I mean, I'm terrified because I'm a
Yeah.
Falcons fan. One of those Super Bowls was mine. Anyway, you turn the corner. Uh-oh. Out pops Trey Lance and what they gave up for him.
Oh my!
What, 3 first-round picks? They're jumping you. All 3 first-round picks are jumping you, and they're bad ones. That's bad. And Trey Lance, he's a Cowboy. So what do you get out of that?
No,
Nothing. Nothing.
Trey Lance actually has yet to get anything out of anything.
Yeah. Poor guy, honestly. But
Yeah.
obviously, you got to keep moving. The floorboard, it creaks under you. And you see the Chiefs. The Chiefs!
No!
They beat you in 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, that's kind of a basic one, but they're just dominated by the Chiefs every time they play them.
If
unfortunately.
I'm a Niners fan, I probably inadvertently think about the Chiefs every day,
Yeah.
just because you can't beat them.
They can't even beat them in the regular season.
I'm a Bills fan. I think about the Chiefs pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the same boat there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But you feel something behind you. Uh-oh. You turn around to see Brandon Ayuk.
No!
His contract and his performance. He's holding out in practice, and they pay him, and he does nothing. He does nothing. He gets hurt.
It looks like he needed the practice at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
what happens.
No?
But you're trying to get out of there. But obviously, you're chased down by being tied with everyone in the division.
No!
You're 4-4.
Oh,
God, that's a bad one. We
gosh.
talked about that earlier, but that's a scary one.
Mhm.
I mean, you are supposed to be the NFC giant, and you're tied with everyone in your division.
I mean, it still can be a good thing, right?
can
You're
salvage it.
You're 4-4,
Yeah.
and you're tied, right? But you imagine being miles ahead of this right now. 4-4 is not where you want to be. They've had injuries, yes.
Yeah,
But you're the Niners.
right.
You are perennial Super Bowl contenders. Before the season even starts, everyone is talking about the Niners being in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl or being contenders for a Super Bowl. So a lot of
Not
high
a good look.
expectations, but not a good look, like you said, yeah.
All right, let me continue here. Put on my scary voice here.
How many more?
We
How many
got
more?
two
haunted-
more.
Two
Two
more
more haunted houses to go through.
We got 2 more teams. What's this team?
This time, we're going to Cincinnati.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared.
A Bengals-themed haunted house.
I'm so scared.
You slowly creep up the rickety stairs, and you see that you're 3-5, and
No!
you're 2 games out of the top of the division. But you got to keep moving. You got to move on from it. But you turn the corner, and out pops a frustrated Jamar Chase who wants a lot of money. And you probably won't be able to sign him in the offseason.
I mean, if we're going to go by Bengals being Bengals, they're not going to spend any money. I mean, as a Bengals fan, you'd hope, but remember DJ
Yeah.
Reader,
Yeah.
he did not get money, and now the defense is paying for that. for
Nobody
sure.
got money. The Bengals gave up everyone and didn't give anyone back. But we'll get back into that.
Yes.
That's part of this haunted house. Don't worry.
Mhm.
Obviously, you try to get away from that Jamar Chase, but he follows you as you see his 5th-year option that cost you $30 million.
$30 million.
$30 million for not paying him. And then you got to also pay him. So
Yeah.
not in a good spot.
Uh,
Obviously, you then feel something behind you. And you turn around to see Jesse Bates, the best safety in the NFL, balling out while their defense struggles. And they had him. If that wasn't clear, they used to have him. Obviously, now he's a Falcon, and couldn't be happier. Thank you, Bengals, for letting us have him because he is the best safety in the NFL.
You're reaping those benefits for
100%.
sure. He's been balling out. It's almost like the Bengals are paying the wrong people and not paying the right people.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, the aforementioned DJ Reader and now Jesse Bates we're talking about. So
Yeah. It's bad. It's
wait,
bad.
was that the last one?
Oh, no. You got to get out of there.
I need to get out still.
But you're chased by Joe Mixon. You're
He's
not
catching
outrunning
me.
him.
I'm dead.
You're not outrunning him. And you know now that your running game is way worse than it was before because Joe Mixon, a lifetime Bengal, is gone.
Yeah, and I didn't even. You know what? I'm guilty of also not knowing how good Joe Mixon was. Right? He is really good. He took that Bengals running offense exactly where he could take them. Where they were was because of him. He took them there. And now you see, Houston, we remember Dameon Pierce last year.
Yeah.
He was not very good. He had some hype around him maybe. He was a talented
His rookie
running
year,
back.
he was quite nice.
Yeah. And then Joe Mixon comes in and just absolutely kills for them every week.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just been so good.
When he's not hurt, he is one of the top running backs in the NFL for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And now we move on to my favorite haunted house, the New York Jets haunted house. All right, we're gonna.
It smells
creep
like
up.
crap in here.
It smells terrible in here. You creep up the stairs, and you see that the Colts have more AFC East championships than you.
No!
The Jets are 5th in AFC East championship titles. And you may be wondering, how'd that happen?
How?
Before 2002, divisions were 5 teams large. So the Colts were in the AFC East. And they still have more AFC East championships than the Jets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Keep shooting. Keep trying. Maybe
Not this
one more.
year.
One more Aaron Rodgers buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not this year. But you turn the corner, and out pops Aaron Rodgers, who has the same amount of interceptions this year so far as Zach Wilson all year last season.
No.
He has 7 interceptions so far this year, and Zach Wilson had 7 last season.
Wow.
That's bad.
That's really. There's nothing else to say besides that's bad.
Yeah. What else can you say, really? Besides, we got to move on, right?
Keep pushing through. We need to get the hell out of here.
We need to get out. This is bad. It smells bad, too. But the floorboard, it creaks under you. Uh-oh. What's that? It's Robert Saleh, and you fired him, and now you're worse. Not winning a single game since firing Robert Saleh.
Hey, how much money is he making per day or per week? Was it like 20,000?
That's another thing.
I think he's making like 20,000 a day or week, whatever that is.
He's making a lot.
Hey,
he's making a lot of money.
What a
to not
win-win
coach
for
them.
Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
He gets to leave the Jets and he gets to make money every day.
Yeah.
Great.
You know what? If this was like a reverse haunted house, Robert Saleh could be in here too.
He escaped the haunted house.
He did.
He ran.
He got right out of there. But we are not out yet. So obviously, you feel something creeping up on you. You turn around and you see you're the worst team in the AFC East, and you're 4 games out from the top. No! You're the worst team. How does that happen? You're the worst team in the AFC East. That's the Dolphins, who didn't have a quarterback for 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And the Patriots, who
The Patriots.
started Jacoby Brissett for half their season. You have Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Don't forget Braylon Allen. Their mediocre offensive line, and a top 5 defense in the league.
I'm unimpressed.
Yeah. Unimpressed is...
That's really underselling
You know what? Yeah, that's being generous.
Yeah.
But obviously, you got to get out of there.
We need to get the hell out of here.
Yes. This is the worst one, for sure. You're chased by Hassan Reddick.
No!
And he's coming up right behind you. No! And he's going to tackle you, but not until you pay him. Which they did end up paying him, but he was holding out for most of the season. He still hasn't played a game yet, I'm pretty sure, right?
No, I don't believe so. Actually, I can see exactly how that would happen. I'm running out of the haunted house, and Hassan Reddick, he's still an extremely talented, huge guy, just picks me up by my shirt and goes, I'm going to do absolutely nothing. And then he just lets me walk out, and I get to leave.
Yeah.
So,
pretty much, yeah. I think that's really good.
I
really like that.
He gets me, I'm going to do nothing.
I'm going to fire my agent. Anyway, those were our haunted houses. Thank you all for listening in.
That was
it's
immersive.
Looking bad.
That was immersive. I enjoyed that. I didn't know what these haunted houses were. Ryan, really nice job putting that together for me. That was an experience.
Yeah, you know what? I tried to scare you, and I think it worked.
I was scared.
But obviously, we'll move on to our regularly scheduled program here. We'll start with our game of the week. This week's been some bad matchups. I'm not going to lie. But I think we picked the best two, as per usual. Yeah. I'm going Buccaneers at Chiefs on Monday Night Football. I like that one.
Bucks at Chiefs, Monday Night Football.
Yes.
You have the injured Bucks against the 7-0 Chiefs? I mean, just give me some reasoning here.
Come on, give me a break.
I can see it too, but let me hear it.
As much as the Falcons killed them, right? I wouldn't even say killed. As much as the Falcons kind of beat them down a little bit.
Yeah.
Baker hasn't missed a step. He hasn't missed a beat. He looks really good. If he can keep that up against the Chiefs defense, I honestly, at least, should be a pretty close game. And I don't think that the Buccaneers played bad. I just think the Falcons played better. And Patrick Mahomes and that offense has really struggled. So even though the defense is bad, I just hope they lose. I just hope they lose. Honestly, that's all I can do.
You know what? It does come to a point where they're 7-0, where you're expecting a first loss at some point. It could really come to anybody. Once you get to the point where you're undefeated, you could lose to anybody. And
I mean, Super Bowl rematch here, but without Tom Brady. But
very different team.
We'll take it. Hopefully, the Bucs get that win. I'm rooting for them, even though they're in the Falcons division. But still,
I'm still rooting for them too.
Give me a game of the week.
I'm gonna say Packers-Lions. I'm sure that's what a lot of people are thinking if they're watching right now. Packers-Lions it's a great divisional game, big rivalry, and I'm rooting for the Lions. I think a lot of people will be rooting for the Lions. It's almost like you have continued success over here. You've got new success over here. And it'll be a dogfight. It could be low scoring, could be high scoring. Traditionally, divisional games are kind of dogfights, and they're low scoring. And but this could just be a flat out really entertaining game. I think it'll have drama. I think it'll probably come down to who can play better in the fourth quarter, last couple minutes of the game. So that's my game of the week.
Well, there you go. I like that one actually, but it all really depends who's at quarterback for the Packers as well. That's a big thing.
That's true. And it even if it is Malik Willis, I will stand by my pick, I think.
I like that. Yeah. Safe. Anything can happen on this Hollow weekend. So right now, I'm 15 for 21 on my quick picks. And James is only 12 for 21. So we got him beat by 3 games here. Yeah. And I know you like to take the opposite of me to, spice some things up, but you're looking to get back in this one.
Well, at this point, I mean, I was down last week, I believe. I needed to make up some ground, so I took some risks, and they did not pan out. I took a decent-sized risk this week. We'll see.
Yeah, let's get right into that game, actually. Thursday Night Football. Texans versus the aforementioned Jets. You know who I'm taking. I can't stand the Jets. I want the Texans. But who do you got?
Yeah, so this is where my gamble is going to come into play here. We're going to say Jets on Thursday Night Football. Thursday night usually turns into some kind of weird game.
That's
Not
true.
a lot of people are entertained by Thursday Night Football these days. Besides that Bucks Falcons one, that was really good. But give me the Jets here. I think it could be a combination of injuries on the Texans side that hold them back against a good Jets defense. I already said you shouldn't be starting C.J. Stroud in fantasy, so I'm going to keep my picks in line, and I'm going to say the Jets pull this one out.
Yeah. We'll see how that one turns out. I still not impressed by the Jets at all, so even with an injured Texans team, I think they take this one. But let's move on to the 1 p.m. game that I think is the best here.
It's the best 1 p.m. game,
one of the
I
best
think.
1 p.m. games for sure. Cowboys-Falcons. I'm taking my Falcons. I'm sticking with them no matter what. The Cowboys have looked terrible. I mean, I had to make a haunted house for them, so they're pretty bad. Who do you got, though?
Last week on the show, I bet on the Cowboys, and I'm not making the same mistake ever again.
That's true.
So give me the Falcons, no explanation.
Yeah, I love it. I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it'll be a good one. But 4 p.m., we got a couple of good games here,
Yeah,
actually.
2 good ones.
4 p.m. windows looking pretty good this week. But let's start with Lions-Packers, which is your game of the week, so I'm going to talk about mine. I want the Lions. I'm taking the Lions no matter what. I think they're the best team in football, and the Packers haven't looked super impressive. But are you taking the Packers? Are you taking Lions?
I think I'm going to go Lions just for the sake that I don't know what's going to happen with Jordan Love.
Yeah.
If we had a definitive, Jordan Love is playing kind of game, it would be more 50-50 for me. Jordan Love would definitely have to take care of the ball better than he has.
Mm-hmm.
However, the Lions haven't been great against the pass. So
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, actually.
Yeah, I think regardless, if Jordan Love does play, he's going to put up over 250, maybe 300 passing yards. I wouldn't bet on that, but I think I am going to take the Lions for the chance that Malik Willis plays. And the Lions have just been the best team in football.
Lions are on fire. I mean, they just dominated last week. I wouldn't say they're going to dominate this week, but obviously every divisional matchup is going to be close. We'll see how this one pans out. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, me
But
too.
another divisional matchup we got here, Rams at Seahawks. This is a close one just because of how the Rams came out last week. And obviously they beat the Vikings, who were, ranked up there with the top teams. Who do you got this week?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a combination of the fact that the Rams come off beating the Vikings and that the Seahawks come off of just a terrible loss against the Bills where their team is in shambles. And, this was a really tough turnaround to turn around, and you see the Rams coming at you after a really big win. So the Seahawks have a lot to deal with, but I think the Rams are going to pull this one out with a healthy wide receiver core, and I think they'll just outscore them. In my opinion.
I do like that take as well. I'm taking the Rams. Rolling with their momentum this week. Puka is going to go off again as per usual. Cooper Kupp, he's not getting traded, and he's going to ball out as well. Kyron Williams, unstoppable. That offense is so explosive. As long as the defense can keep him in this game, it's a win for them. But let's move on to our Sunday night football games. The opponent of the Rams last week, how about the Colts and the Vikings? I should have said Vikes and Colts, but it's all the same. You know what I meant.
I'm going to take the Vikings here, and I'll allow you to explain why.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings. Joe Flacco is a really good player. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think everyone can agree to that.
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP, just one of the best veteran QBs you could have on your roster. That being said, the Vikings are still very hot, very good team. Their Colts defense is where they struggle a lot. I expect it to be somewhat of a high-scoring game because both of these defenses are looking lackluster, but I think high-powered offense. We'll see how Joe Flacco does come out, but at least a high-powered offense from the Vikings, who don't make a lot of mistakes. And I think they'll run up the score a little bit on the Colts here.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
Vikings for sure.
The only thing that you can argue is that Vikings are coming off their first 2 losses, and maybe the Colts come out and give them a punch in the mouth real quick. But that's really the only route the Colts could take to win this game. I don't think they win a hard fought battle.
This game definitely depends on if the Colts come out strong. If they come out and they take some early points, I think they could win this one just because that momentum and that buildup. Like, the Vikings need a win here.
Yeah.
But they are coming off 2 straight losses, so that's really detrimental to your team's mental, mental health, I want to say. But so if the Colts can run up the score a little bit early, it can kind of make them lose some confidence there.
And Flacco is certainly a game manager, someone that you want playing with a lead. He'll, more than happily hand the ball off to one of the best in the league, Jonathan Taylor. So there's definitely a route that the Colts can take to win this game, but it's very specific and requires them to start this game great and continue to be great. So I don't think either of us imagine the Colts really getting off to that good of a start. But so we both got Vikings. What about Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
Let's hear from you first about this one. It's Buccaneers Chiefs. It's your game of the week.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about it here.
I know I've already talked about it a little bit, but I do really like the Bucs coming into this one. I'm just waiting on the Chiefs to lose, honestly. And that might sound like I'm against the Chiefs, but no, I don't think that they're the super high-powered team that it looks for them to be. I know they're, 7-0 now? Right? 7-0?
Yeah.
So they're 7-0. It's a risk to take the Bucs, but I do like how the Bucs have played in the past couple of games, despite having 2 losses. This is a game they need to win, and I think it's the Bucs' game to win. I think it's the Bucs' game to take here.
Yeah, I'm just going to disagree with everything you said. I think you're totally tripping. The Chiefs are 7-0. I would take the Bucs if Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were healthy. I think that is enough offensively for them to stay in it, but I think it's probably another week where you see a couple picks from Baker Mayfield. Last week, you saw them firsthand, right?
Yeah.
Getting down near the goal line with those picks. So I don't think the Buccaneers will be able to pull this one out. However, for sure this is a game that they've marked up on their schedule.
Oh,
so they've probably been game planning for a couple weeks now, just maybe even a little bit in the back of their mind. So they've definitely been saving their best stuff for the Chiefs. I just don't know if they can execute it without their top 2 guys.
And I think if the Bucs want to win the division that they're in, they're going to need to win this game, and they're going to have to hope that the Cowboys can revert to their 2 years ago self and somehow beat the Falcons. But I don't think it's going to happen. But I always bet against the Chiefs, and I always lose. So I wouldn't even listen to me, but you got to roll with it. I'm taking a risk, and hopefully it pans out. I hope the Bucs take this one.
Yeah, give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess. Fair enough. Anyway, that will do it for our show this week. Thank you all for listening to our Halloween episode. Do not walk into any Jets, Cowboys, Bengals, Niners,
any of the haunted houses,
Giants-themed haunted houses. You will be very scared. But obviously, stay safe this Halloween weekend. But enjoy it. Enjoy the
safe,
games.
Sane Halloween weekend.
There you go. And enjoy the games. But that will do it for us here. Thank you all for listening again. Bye-bye.